Hello everyone, and welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. It's another mini mail call on the second channel. I mean, I need to come up with a name for these, so if you have a good idea, please let me know. What I want to talk about really quick is in the last one of these mini mail calls, I had my Rigol ground lead, the little flying lead that connects to the scope probe, and yes, it's connected, the multimeter connected to this end with this orange clip and onto that end, and you notice there's no continuity. If I touch here, there is, but it seems like the problem, I was just trying to figure out where exactly the problem was, if it was in this area right here where the wire connects to the clip, and that's not it. The problem exists in this area right here where this wire goes into this part of the body that clips on the scope probe. Watch this. If I push the wire towards my left hand, it makes a connection. So yeah, I've had multiple of these fail, and I don't know if I even have any left. So right now on my Rigol scope, I'm using a different probe, an old probe, a Valentine one I've had forever, years and years and years, like 20 years I've had that thing, and it was old when I got it because I got it used. So if anyone knows where I can buy replacement clips here for the Rigol, and maybe ones that don't suck so much as this piece of crap, please let me know. But I don't see any way to fix this. It's all molded together. This part here and the wire, it's a little silicone wire, so it's very flexible, but obviously it makes a bad connection in there. So that's really frustrating. So floppy. Anyhow, you're not here to see me rant about bad multimeter probes on oscilloscopes. You're here to watch me open up a package. And a package is what I have. This package here is from Eric in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Hello. Oh, wait, is it? Yes, just checking it was Michigan. Hi to all my Michigan fans and viewers. As I mentioned in the last one of these super mini mail call, whatever videos, basically I'm doing these on the second channel, one box per video. I still have a backlog of regular mail call stuff I haven't shown. There's lots of videos that are gonna still show up on the second channel or on the main channel on Wednesdays. And yeah, so. Okay, we have a note and we have stuff. Oh, we have goodies. Okay, let's see what the note says. All right, Eric says, I've been a fan of your channel for some time. Since I have to do some decluttering, we might move soon. I thought I'd pass along some old PC parts to you. Hopefully either you can use them or you can pass them along to whomever you can. So it looks like he's included a 1995 Micron PC motherboard. Looks like there's a sound blaster that was from the Micron PC. There's an ATX power supply, GeForce 2, a SideQuest Easy Flyer external SCSI drive. Oh, interesting. Yeah, back when most of the world was using zip drives, my friends convinced me these were better. Unfortunately, I don't have the power supply. Game card 3 automatic. I think that's a CH ISA game card. And a floppy drive that has a loose bezel. Probably something you can fix in your sleep. Add it to your stockpile. And much thanks, Eric. Okay, camera mount has changed. Let's see what we got here. This looks like video card, GeForce MX, AGP card, VGA output. You know, I don't know, not much else to say about these. It's ASUS branded. It's the V7700/32, so it's got 32 megs of RAM, and yeah, I mean, that's it. It's AGP. Like, I have the odd computer that uses AGP. I have several of these video cards because, unfortunately, you know, these are pretty common stuff compared to ISA, you know, high-speed ISA cards, things like that. So, yeah. Okay, looks like this is a game card. Wouldn't be surprised. And it is indeed. This is the automatic. I don't know why they called it automatic, but it is an ISA dual port game card. What is this? Yep, CH Products. I called it. Pretty sure I have one just like this. Not a whole lot going on. It's very simplistic stuff. It does some like very primitive sampling using capacitors or whatever to read the analog inputs. It's the way those game cards work. Okay, what's this? Seems like something. Oh, this is that external Easy Flyer drive. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen one of these. I mean, I have the internal version of this. So there it is. This is the SideQuest Easy Flyer, 230 megs. Probably is better than a zip drive. I mean, it's a hard drive based technology. Got a power switch on there. Aha, the power is a DIN connector. Well, that's lame. Does it say anything? Yeah, 5 volts. And they used a DIN. Use the SideQuest power supply only. You guys suck. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Warranty void if seal broken. That looks like it's been broken. It is interesting how very similar to the zip drive this is, though. It's just wild. Except for the power switch. Eject button, lights there. Cartridge goes in there. It's the MEZ or Z230S. Copyright 1997. So yeah, I mean, I think this was out around the same time as the 250 meg zip drives. And I'm sure zip disks were cheaper because they're floppy disks, like high density ones. And these are hard drives, and there's an actual platter in them. I do have some of the cartridges that go with this. I have an internal drive, an EC Flyer drive, and I think it's busted or working. I don't know. One day I will do a video on these types of media, so it's actually kind of cool to have this drive. So cool, thanks. All right, what's this here? This is a floppy drive, I assume. It's an Epson brand. Let's see how like loose this bezel is. I see, yeah, it's just broken. Wow, this is some really sticky tape. It's like electrical tape, but I guess it's been on there for a very long time. Oops, and there went the label. So it was an Epson SMD something or other. Yeah, unfortunately, all of the little tabs have snapped off this drive. So obviously, this could be glued on, I guess, if it never need to come off again. So, you know, there's a use for this drive. I mean, all these 3.5-inch disk drives are very similar. All right, we got something here, an ISA card. This must be the AW32. That would be a Creative Labs Sound Blaster AW32. Ooh, and you know what? I don't think I realized this. This actually has an OPL chip on here. This is one of the Creative Labs OPL combos, but this is a CT3780 that has Sony, Panasonic, and Mitsumi interfaces there. It does not, of course, have the Wave Blaster header because that's what the AW32 is. It's the Wave Blaster stuff built in, so to speak. I think this is really like a Sound Blaster 16 with the AW32 Wave Blaster stuff integrated into it. So that's pretty sweet. In fact, I swear I have a very similar, very similar looking Sound Blaster 16 that I've recently had. I mean, but this stuff looks the same. It looks very similar. So I guess, yeah, if anyone knows like the history behind the 3780, and if that's what's going on here, this is like I said, it's a grafted on Wave Blaster. Like there's RAM right here. It's probably for the sounds or whatever that can load up. And one of these chips here, like maybe this one here, these ones here, have to do with the Wave Blaster stuff or the AW32, while the rest of this is just OPL and the regular Sound Blaster stuff. So yeah, neat. Okay, very cool. All right, here's the motherboard. So I was thinking that this would be an ATX motherboard like it is on the Micron PC that I have, but it's not. Unfortunately though, this is not a standard AT motherboard either. Similar, has an AT connector here. The pin's a little bent, but that should be okay, I guess. I think he said it was a Pentium 120. It's got some 72-pin memory, built-in cache, 2 different types of cache, but it's got the good old PCI set chipset, built-in IDE, dual IDE, floppy, parallel, serial right here. Flash memory is contained right here. It's got a Dallas and it's in a socket. So that's kind of cool because, you know, you can take those out, you can modify them. But where things fall down is this right here. It's got PS2 and a mouse. But the problem is the placement of this is such that I don't think if you put this in a normal AT case that either of these ports align properly. That's one of the issues with these motherboards. Proprietary, sort of, but not quite. Like, why? Why do they do this? Why do they just put a normal keyboard connector and just have a little header that goes to a little port on the case for the PS2 mouse. Like, why? They could have even put the PS2 connector inside the regular DIN 9-pin connector. But now, if you put this into a case, it's gonna block one of these. So I don't know which one, you know, maybe one will show through, or it'll be in the middle and neither will work. I don't know. And this was the power supply. So it's got a screw on here with some weird bracket. Must have been from whatever case this was on. At least this looks like a bog standard, ATX power supply. So 20-pin connector, all the usual. Look at that, there's a cap there. So this is an extra connector for power that some motherboards took an extra connector. I think that's what this is. It's like 5 volt, 3.3 volts. I think it was basically because these CPUs were starting to run on 3.3 volts, and instead of regulating on the motherboard, which this has a giant voltage regulator right here, they would take 3.3 right off the power supply. And there's also this, which is the, you know, 12 volt connector, which could go on a power supply as well. According to the sticker here, it's a LinkWorlds LK8 300 watts. Plus 3, 5, minus 5, plus 12, minus 12. These are useful. These are old power supplies, and new ones don't come with all these extra voltage rails. The fact that this has got plus 5, minus 5, plus 12, minus 12 means it's very easy to adapt these to run old retro computers. Machines like the TRS-80 Model 3, as an example. Those power supplies die a lot. With one of these ATX power supplies, you could totally use this in there. 13 amps of 12 volt, 20 amps of 5 volt. It's only got 0.8 amps of minus 12 and 0.5 amps of 5 volts. But to be honest, that doesn't really matter because those are typically used for like RAM bias voltages and RS-232 ports and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter. I don't know this brand though. Made in Thailand. Who knows about the reliability of such a thing? Got some screws there. Back has a power switch here, 115 volt selector switch. Don't see a lot of dust. There's a bit of dust, but not a lot in there. So yeah, that's really handy actually. It's a good sweet spot, this era of power supply, which is pretty sweet actually. I'm just gonna write that on here because just to remind me if I ever like glance at this, that this has, whoops, maybe if I wrote those voltages right, that it has all of those available to it. I grabbed my little power supply here, my AT1. Let's just do a quick bench test of this Micron motherboard here. Let's just hope that it uses a standard pinout for this power connector. I'm not even gonna plug any cards into it. Let's just power this on as is, see what happens. See if we at least get a sign of life and not smoke. This power supply has good short circuit protection, so I'm safe. I know about that. I've definitely used that when the tantalums on things have been shorted out. Just making sure none of this stuff is gonna short. Okay, here we go. All right, fan is spinning. Okay, we got a green light. Okay, so this seems to be working. Let's plug in a video card. I'm gonna use this ISA card here. And let's see, turn this on. Video card is in. Dust bunny flying off the motherboard. Will you initialize? Got a blue light, there it is, Pentium 133. Micron Electronics Corporation. It seems to have some weird amount of memory, 80,896K. Just gonna put this mouse pad under the motherboard to raise it up a little bit because of that card is kind of pushing out of the slot. Surprise, surprise, the Dallas clock chip is bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to work. There's a few electrolytic caps, but you know, unlike Macs of this era, this doesn't seem to have any leakage of any kind. The board looks really, really clean and in great shape. Well, that seems to work. I'm gonna go grab my other test bench and we're gonna see if this Sound Blaster works, because that's what I'd like to see if that's the case. So here's my other test bench motherboard. This is also Pentium one. It's one you see on the channel all the time. So there's the keyboard connector. I'm gonna go grab that other motherboard. Let's compare. Let's compare the keyboard connector locations. Let's just see what they look like. Yeah, and just like I thought, I'm gonna say that They don't even line up in any way that might work. Maybe this one on the left is actually going to work. But yeah, this is the keyboard. That's the mouse connector. So on the back of the AT case, you might be able to plug your mouse in, but you can't plug your keyboard in. It's just so stupid. Really stupid. Also, there's no way to mount the motherboard on this corner because the connector's in the way. Seems like the rest of the mounting holes are in a pretty standard location. So I guess it would probably work. But what are they thinking with this? Just what? It's just stupid. So stupid. All right, power is connected, and let's get the... Well, I can't plug in the Sound Blaster. That is one design element on this motherboard that I think is terrible. It's just the heatsink and the fan is always in the way of long cards. You just can't get it in. It just doesn't go into that slot. Now, this motherboard, on the other hand, is a little better in that regard because at least one slot might work. These ones are going to be not good. Let's just see. Now that hits the RAM. Okay, so those 3 slots hit the RAM, but this slot actually should work. That one's going to work. So let's transfer this over, and we'll test with the Micron motherboard. All right, let's get this in the slot. There we go. Let's get this video card back in. All right, I have a keyboard connected. I think I'm ready for turning this on. Let me just make sure everything looks fine. Here we go. I will have to initialize some settings in the BIOS because it had a problem. I'll plug the speakers, which I will plug into this card here. I bet you this has the identical BIOS to this motherboard, which is an Intel motherboard. Ooh, it's complaining about keyboard error. You know what? I think I plugged it into the mouse port. That would be the problem, not the keyboard port. Just as I was saying that the keyboard port was in the wrong spot, I plugged it in what would have been the spot, the connector that might have worked. Let's see, Control-Delete. No, power cycle. Okay, what's happening here? This, oh, it was like no numlock, but we're in like Flynn, as they say. All right, so the time is 99 o'clock. That's problematic. Oops. Let's just reset this to something more correct. And the date, the month is 19, and the day is 14, and the year is 7,199. Just so you can see, I just zoomed up a little bit. So there it is, 19, 14, 1799. So enter, and let's just put this to whatever, something. And the floppy drive not installed, IDE. Huh, it's not seen. It kind of froze, actually. I hit enter to auto-detect the card. And I'm just checking that it's in the right way, and it is. And it's on the primary slot. So what's happening here? So this totally froze. I can't even Control-Delete out of here. That sucks. Warning, checksum is invalid. Really? Let's just get something in here. And I'll leave the floppy drive, I'll leave the hard drive alone for now. 79 megs of RAM, interesting. Integrated peripherals, okay, whatever. So you could do primary, IDE, both. We'll do primary. Plug and play is definitely not. And we're gonna save, oh, power is disabled, that's good. Save changes, enter. So for now, we should have a BIOS that's not corrupted at least. But if I can't auto-detect the flash card on here, that's not gonna really make this a very usable computer. Look at that, checksum is still invalid? It can't even survive a reboot? That's weird. That doesn't make sense. The Dallas clock chip shouldn't do that. It should allow that to work. So I'm just gonna try to, as soon as I try to detect the hard drive, it freezes. Oh. Okay, so I don't know what's going on here. I think there's like a SMC chip that does a lot of this, these ports and stuff. That might be bad. Maybe the corrupt BIOS doesn't allow it to do this. This doesn't make sense though. I've never run into this problem before. So that's it. I'm done. I'm cutting my losses on this, taking this card out. Let's try using the XT IDE instead and hope we have actual functional. Yeah, okay, sorry, just checking something. It's fine. I thought I was giving power from XT IDE to the compact flash adapter, which means I don't need this cable, but I was actually not giving power, and that's because I was using one of these, which is an SD card adapter, and that doesn't support the power. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get an error, whatever. Just, I'm gonna hit F1 to continue, if it gives me that option. Plug and play BIOS. Yay, plug and play BIOS. 1993, so I guess Microsoft had everyone working on that nice and early. In fact, this BIOS date's 1994 there. Yeah, so I just let this sit here for a while and it's just sitting here and not working. So that means that I don't have an easy way to test this right now. I have a 386SX motherboard, but it's really a bit slow. And oh, finally, that took forever. F1 to resume. Okay, here we go. Oh no, it's just showing corrupt on the, there, what? That makes no sense. So it's not able, I've used this card on everything. This card is not problematic. Oh, wow, okay. Well, just before I decide that there's a problem with this motherboard and the ISA bus, I'm gonna pop these cards out of here. I mean, obviously the video's working, so the ISA bus works to some extent. Let's go back to my other motherboard, the one I can't put the sound card into. And we will test the XT IDE in here. Obviously I can't try the sound card, it won't fit. Let's see if this XT IDE is working here. I've had a few issues with this in really fast computers, but that doesn't make sense actually, because I've used this. No, it's working perfectly here. In no disk. Yeah, so something's up with that other computer. It's booting and everything. Something's got to be up. Yeah, look, it's actually completely booting. In fact, if I could put this Sound Blaster in, there would be, oh, it's giving an error here. That's interesting. There's Sound Blaster driver, so this would have worked if this fit in here. Why is it working on here and not on that other thing? That could be something going on with the ISA bus. Weird the video card works, but definitely this XT IDE is not working in there. Compact flash is not working, it's freezing. Something seems like it's up with that other machine. So that's way beyond the scope of this video. But I'm gonna assume that this good old Sound Blaster 32 here does work properly, because these are very reliable cards. They don't always work. I've had bad ones, but generally they totally work. The CH joystick port, I don't have something handy to check that with, and I don't have an AGP computer handy at all to test this with, so I can't test those. Floppy drive, let's just give this a quick check, see if this is a spare parts drive or worth keeping. All right, there we go. Turn that on. I have the compact flash adapter back on the motherboard. I have a cleaning disk here. Oh, I gotta go to the BIOS though, because I don't usually keep a floppy drive set up on this machine, just so it boots pretty quickly and doesn't sit there looking for a drive. Uh-oh. This drive is not working. Can't get the disk in there. I'm gonna say, oh yeah, it's a mess in there. Looks like something got forced in or something bad happened in here. Actually, you know, it's funny. I think what the problem is the, I think it's the little clip that broke off the front bezel. It's kind of jammed in there. See if I can get it out with this tweezers. There it is. There it is. That's the little plastic piece that broke off. Only one side is there. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, that worked. Floppy drive, we got 1.4. Redo the alcohol on there. So this machine does not seek the floppy drive at boot. This is Intel BIOS, it just doesn't do that. So it will, floppy controller failure, what? What? You know what, it's probably turned off. It's probably off. Peripheral, yeah, floppy drive controller is disabled. That's because sometimes I do testing where I plug a floppy drive controller into this thing, like an external one, just to make sure it's working. And that's probably why it was off. So let's see what happens now. There it goes. Floppy installed. Okay, so I'm gonna try to pull this LED out because it's very pushed in. Oops, whoa. What are you doing? Not sure the way it's supposed to be. Oh, I did a pretty good job. So I pulled it out and there it is. It's now in the front bezel properly. Okay, and that's enough cleaning. So I haven't even put an actual disc in here. I'm gonna say that this drive probably works fine. So I'm just gonna grab a little tape and I'm just gonna tape this bezel on, which is a little bit lame, but at the same time, believe it or not, it really does work fine. It's not bad to do this. It's not like the bezel's gonna come off. And I'll put some tape on the bottom as well. There we go. Electrical tape, top, bottom is held on there. The little door is on the drive itself, so that's part that would potentially cause an issue if that was mounted on the faceplate, but the button and the door are on the drive. So to be honest, this totally works fine. And I think once this is in a case anyways, case usually holds the faceplate on, so it really can't go anywhere. It depends on the case. Some cases don't do that. But that's a working drive. Let me get a floppy drive. So let's try a disc in here. I have this disc, it's a boot disc, DOS 622. It's got check it on here, and let's boot up into the A drive, see if this thing works. And it doesn't work. And for sure, this is a DOS 622 check it spin right disc, and it definitely works. I used this just the other day, and this disc works fine. And it just says oh, wait a second, now it's booting. So this might not be the most reliable disk drive in the world. Let's see if we can run check it off this drive. It's loading. Okay, that was weird. It was just a little bit of a fluke. It literally said non-system disk though. And I put the disk back in and hit the key and it booted. Not reassuring when you get problems like that. I'll just do a quick floppy drive test. We're gonna skip the write test because I don't want to erase this disk. Passed the read test, no issue, no problems with the reading. So I guess fluke, let's call it a fluke. So I'm gonna give this disk drive one of these Adrian's Digital Basement QC pass stickers right there. So I know that's good. So that's gonna be it for this testing. I couldn't get this motherboard working. I'm gonna actually mark this probably as marginal. If anyone has thoughts about what might be going on with this motherboard, that why it freezes up when I try to access the IDE, and also the XT IDE card just returned garbage and wouldn't boot. And it also doesn't seem to ever set the BIOS, even though the battery said, I know that, but just saving and rebooting with a soft reboot should save the BIOS. But even with the BIOS not working, it shouldn't freeze up. So I really think something's going on with this motherboard, and I'm not quite sure what that might be. So if anyone has thoughts, please let me know. I can't test these other cards, but I'm gonna assume that they work. And this SideQuest drive, I'll have to test that in the future. The disk drive does work. Oh, and I didn't test the power supply, but I don't have any ATX stuff handy. That's all stored away. And that was, I think, everything Eric sent. Yes, I think it was. Oh, and then also Eric sent this cable here. It's a 4-pin DuPont connector cable. These are handy. I'll throw that in the spare parts bin. But yeah, that's all the stuff that Eric sent. So cool. Thanks very much, Eric, for sending this. And thanks for watching this super quick mail call, whatever. Just put your comments of what you think this episode should be called in the description below. And if you have any ideas about this motherboard, what's wrong with this, please let me know. But yeah, unfortunately, like I said, it doesn't even work in an AT case. So I don't even have an actual way to use this thing. Other than the fact, if it worked, I could use it instead of this motherboard because I could actually test long cards, and that's exciting. But I don't like the fact that I have to fix this Dallas clock to do that because this motherboard just has a regular battery holder on it. So anyhow, definitely I'm babbling at this point. So yes, if you like this video, thumbs up. Thanks to my patrons. Really appreciate it. If you want to become a patron, you can do so. There's a link below. And check out my main channel if you haven't already seen that. And yeah, I really think that's it. So stay healthy, stay safe. And that is that.